lots of people do lots of similar things, but your dream is your dream. Your call is your call. You got to go ball on the call. And so it's just kind of like, I don't really worry about what other people are doing or saying. I don't even think about competition. I just focus, on the vision and the mission and trying to take it one day at a time, one choice at a time.
You're listening to Permission to Offend, the show that helps you live a life fully self-expressed so you can easily step up to your next level of faith, worth, and wealth. Each week, I show you how to stand up, speak up, and own your power without worrying about being judged or offending others. I'm your host, Rachel Luna, and it's time to get offensive. Let's go. Hey, friend. On today's episode, I interview Jeff Reagan. He is the founder and creator of the Kai's Concepts Bar. I've had the opportunity to try the bars. They are delish. And I really enjoyed this conversation. Jeff is so sweet. And FYI, ladies, he's single and he's a man of faith. Listen, if one of y'all don't snatch him up, well, I'm not going to snatch him up, but one of you should. All right, without further delay, let's get into the show. What's going on? It's your girl, Rachel Luna. You are listening to the Permission to Offend podcast, and we are doing something that we rarely ever do. We've got a gentleman in the house. That's right, ladies. Hold on to your panties because Jeff Reagan is in the house. He is the founder of Kai's Concept Bars. Welcome.
Hey, how we doing? Thanks for the gentleman privilege today.
Well, thank you for being here. Yeah, I don't bring too many men on the show. I don't know why. I don't think that was intentional, or maybe it was subconscious. I don't know. I like talking to the ladies, but every now and again.
I mean, I think ladies are better than men. So, I mean, I support it.
I agree with you. We are better. Okay. Let's get into the show. It's not a gender war out there, folks. I was first introduced to your products at an event that I spoke at. So shout out to Christina LaCure for her Made for More event. And I tasted your bars. Now, this was before I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I got to tell you, your bars were delicious.
Thank you.
And when I got an email from your team, like, hey, what do you think about chatting with Jeff? I was like, let me think about this. Okay, I like the bars. We can do it. So let's talk about how it all began. Now, I did my due diligence. So I know that you've had this passion for fitness, and I know our listeners can't see you, but you're pretty ripped. Ladies, let me describe him. He's got big muscles. He's a cute white boy, if anybody's interested in that dynamic, but he's got these big old juicy muscles. So you're into the health and the fitness, but why bars?
Yeah, I mean, you want the short story, the long story? What do you want?
Well, give me the short story because I have a ton of questions that I'm pulling at the threads.
Yeah, the short story was, I was in college. I was towards my end of my college life. And it was kind of like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I have no idea. But I really felt at that time, just this call of this really soul searching next chapter of my life. It was very unknown. And I was a entrepreneurship major actually at the University of Oklahoma. And why that matters is, awesome people like yourself would come in and speak. And I think just a big takeaway for me was just do what you're passionate about. And for me, after a lot of kind of soul searching in pen and paper, I love helping people. I don't think anything's better than that. I love health and fitness, and that's why people wanted my help. Hey, Jeff, can you write me a diet? Can you write me a workout? Can you motivate me? And I like entrepreneurship. We're all created in the image of the creator to go create, to help people live better and do better. And so I just kind of combined all those things, and I moved home unemployed, lived in my mom's basement, except for she didn't have a basement. And then, just was trying to figure it out and started doing some kind of life coaching, health coaching, just really being a human and, very relational, just hearing people's stories and how you could help. And it was like, I want to be healthier, but health eating sucks and I don't have time. And I was like, well, that's not true. And so I just was trying to make something easy, enjoyable, but truly energizing. And it really started in kind of like a pan, more of like a no-bake cookie kind of fudge concoction. And then over time it morphed into bars, and I took a leap of faith, quit my job, and been going at it ever since. So
what year was this?
This was around, I mean, I worked on it for almost 2 years on the side. I would have started working like almost 10 years ago, which is insane to say, because I don't feel like we've really got started yet, but full time since 2013.
Okay, by the way, I don't know, and it's okay if you've never listened to the show, but I am very much like, I'm going to ask you all the questions. And if you're offended, the show is called Permission to Offend. So
I love it. Bring it. Let's
all
go.
right. But why? There's like a million other bars on the market. There's organic bars, there's healthy bars, there's protein, there's paleo, there's keto. Why did you think that the world needed another bar?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you're kind of focusing there on the what, but I really focused on the why and the who. And I really felt, as a person of faith, just really felt this call to feed people. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And I remember just kind of analyzing life, and so many people do what they hate and they just kind of live for the weekend. And that just didn't make sense to me, but I've kind of ran down that path, and I was just like, I feel like we're flunking life if we're living for 2 out of 7 days. I'm like, well, why is that? And it's like, I just kind of arrived at people do what they want with who they want on the weekend. And I was like, well, we just built something that really loved people well. And you had a very family team, very unified, group, and just went out and tried to help people. And it just kind of was led to food. Yeah, I'm not passionate about bars. I'm passionate about people and changing lives for the better. And that's the mission of Kai's. It's a name I made up, derived from the Japanese word kaizen, which is continuous improvement or change for the better. So, our goal is about changing lives for the better for people. And how we do that ended up being bars, but, it could be other things too, right? But I think just keeping the heart very clear and the why, and kind of going from there. So.
Well, let me pull on a couple threads for the listener, because you're saying some really great things. I love that you really pointed out that I was honing in on the what, and for you, you brought it back to the why, that deeper connection. And for our listener, I really want you to hear what Jeff is saying. Yeah, so what? There were other bars. And if you're listening right now, so what? Other people are doing the thing you want to do. Why does it matter to you? I really appreciated that. I'm a woman of faith, so shout out to God. But then you also said something really interesting, that the bar was, the way that I heard you say it, the bar was the vessel, right? It was the vehicle in which you were going to achieve your mission. And I really like that. Can you talk to us about the earlier years? You said it took you a good 2 years to get it off the ground. When you first came up with the idea for, maybe I have something here, did you envision it being where you are today? I know you have your bars in CVS and Walmart, and I want to say natural foods. You're in many stores across the United States. Was that the initial vision?
No, it really wasn't. Like I said, it was really just, I started off kind of doing some training and what you'd kind of call, life coaching or health coaching, almost similar to what you would sit down with someone, where are you? Where do you want to be? What's blocking you? And kind of help them get there. And I just kind of kept getting, I want to be healthier, lose weight, whatever. I don't have time, health eating sucks, yada, yada. And I just kind of moved that way. And yeah, I just kind of went down that path to, food production. And we've actually built them ourselves. And so, yeah, the early days was hand making, hand molding in a little warehouse in the back of, just kind of west of downtown Oklahoma City, and manual everything. I mean, we did everything. So it's just kind of hiding in the kitchen during the week. And then you try and do farmers markets or different local things on the weekend. And, that was probably the first 3 or 4 years. And then we were blessed and fortunate enough to, get a chance to be in the Whole Foods in Oklahoma City. And that was a really big step for us because it kind of gave validity or credibility. And, I remember them telling me we'll give you a chance, but we don't think you're going to make it. You have this goofy handmade package and this very competitive space, and, a lot of, $100 million, billion-dollar brands out there. And, but for me, I'm okay, that's fine. We're going to try though. And so I pretty much lived in that store and, just spread a lot of joy, enjoyed people up, and the great people of Oklahoma City supported us and, really were successful in that store, and it gave us an opportunity and a few more. And, we've kind of gone from there. But yeah, I mean, lots of people do lots of similar things, but your dream is your dream. Your call is your call. You got to go ball on the call. So it's just kind of like, I don't really worry about what other people are doing or saying. I don't even think about competition. I just focus, on the vision and the mission and trying to take it one day at a time, one choice at a time.
Okay. I really want to pull at two things, because my question was, did you see this? And you said no, but then I just heard you say you got to focus on the vision and the mission. So twofold question is, when did the vision develop where you were able to see like, oh yeah, I could see this going to bigger places? But even before that, where did you get the money to fund this dream?
Yeah, so I think the initial vision, like I said, was really just about changing lives for people, people in our team, people in our community, our city, et cetera. And then, it got more clear that like, hey, so Whole Foods, we kind of had a larger pack at first, and they're like, hey, you need to make this a bar and go down this route. So like at that point, I think it got clear of like, okay, like, hey, this is our path. So like, yeah, you vision out on that. But for me, I've always been very impact focused. So just trying to do different things. And, early on, I can tell the story later on a specific question because I don't want to miss your second question. But, we ended up going to Haiti and doing a mission trip where we've gone the last 6 years in support. Where we live across from a homeless day shelter. We're in the highest homeless area in Oklahoma City. We've got people that are homeless on our team. We've got people that are in prison on our team. But we want to meet people where they're at and, love and well and grown. So I feel like we've lived out that mission functionally, with the bars and learning that whole space. It's been different and it's been challenging. But, I think for me, it's like I think about hiking. If you've ever been hiking, when you start, you can see the top of the mountain. Let's say that's the goal or the end of the vision, the dream, whatever. And for me, you get clearer as you get nearer. The view changes from the base to as you get up. And so I think just continuing to make sure you're on the right mountain and you're going the right direction, but you'll see things differently and you have to kind of move with those. And then as far as funding and everything, it was very, the ultimate kind of ragtag startup, didn't have any outside investment or anything like that. So just kind of savings and scrappy and, trying to get loans whenever they'll give you loans or do different things like that. But I've just been super blessed and fortunate to make it this far. And it's not something we take lightly, especially, with COVID and whatnot. It really tests, your staying power and your strength and your will and your faith to keep going. And all things we're thankful for, though.
What was that story you were going to tell?
Oh, how we ended up in Haiti. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like kind of knowing that mission and feeling that call. But I'm like, I never could have dreamed. It wasn't a dream of like, yeah, we're going to go to Haiti and, we're going to feed 1,000 kids a day and we're going to build homes for orphans and, do all these other things that we've been super fortunate to do. So I think it's just, again, when you take one day at a time and you just kind of try and love your neighbor and be open to seeing how you can help people, it's amazing, where things will end up. So.
Let's talk a little bit more about the business. I really go in on, your philosophy and things like that. But I know that there's someone listening that has these ideas for products, and we don't talk about that much on the show. So I feel like this is a special treat where we can really dig in a little more on the whole, like manufacturing. Are you all manufactured? I thought I heard you say here in-house, like you do it all yourself, your own production line?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. We went from hand making, hand molding to, adding different pieces of equipment to eventually building our own building and having our own manufacturing line.
How does one go about that? Like break it down. Break it why? Because, and not just, I don't mean for like someone to come and do a bar, because that's not what I mean. I mean, just in general, like when you're making those decisions, how do you know that it's time? And I'm thinking about, some of our listeners are handcrafters. They're making journals by hand, but how do they know when it's time to stop pressing out the binding in their own little home pressing machine to screen printing business? And she literally has her machine in her apartment and she presses them out by hand. At what point does she know, or does she say to herself, it's time for me to get a commercial space. It's time for me to invest in more machines. How do you make those critical business decisions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it is such a big decision, and what I think of like a stair step. If you can kind of think of it from like a side view of like you go down a path and then you kind of hit this wall where you've got to make a big choice. It's like a fork in the road. Do you just keep doing what you're doing? Hey, it works, but it may be, I'm spending way more time on this than I want, or, do I take out a loan, or do I, if you have cash, or get an investor, whatever it is, to invest in this machine or this next step. And I think, again, it goes back to what's your why and what's your vision on that. And then, on that, it kind of goes back to risk tolerance of going, hey, what am I comfortable doing and not? And, as you've got to be very uncomfortable to grow. And so I think it's something like I would advise anybody, be prayerful about it, seek wise counsel, find people that have done it, that have gone through, find a coach, find a mentor, find somebody like yourself that really can give really positive direction and guidance. And I think it's just piecing all of those things together and then just having the courage to decide and to make that choice. And I think for us early on, it's like anything, right? You've never done it, so it's scary. Mm-hmm. And then once you do it, you get on the other side, you're not dead. And you're like, that wasn't as bad. That was painful. And I had a friend and mentor say, there's a lot of things that, you didn't like going through them, but you were glad that you went through them. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, that is like this path of entrepreneurship and really trying to live that life that we're all made to live and created for. You got to take risks. You got to make choices and get the consequences with those. But I think you have to invest in your best. And for me, early on, the first big purchase was, hey, we're making these by hand. And I'm here all day by hand. And then if we got an order, it'd be like, cool, now I'm going home at night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and hand labeling bags. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't scale very well. And again, I love people and I love connecting with awesome people like yourself, getting their story and seeing how you can help. And now I'm like, here I am sitting at my house by myself labeling bags for my whole life, which is a season. And it's one I'm thankful for. But again, it made me where I go, okay, let's figure out how we can take the next step. So you research automation and all of that. And then you go call manufacturers once you think you find something, and you ask questions and what's the cost? Do you have payment plans? And really just going down that path. But, for us, we don't have anybody that's got a manufacturing background or anything on equipment or food or anything. It was all just a collection of people that wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves and was passionate about helping people and health and fitness. And a big language around here is just figure it out, and I feel like you've either figured it out or, we just haven't figured it out yet. But it's like, hey, just keep going. So.
Are you inherently a hard worker?
That's a great question. I would like to think so.
I'm not. I'm always fascinated by hardworking people.
I'm probably a harder worker than I am a smarter worker. So you're probably smarter.
I try to be. And it's funny because I'm a former Marine. So I always think like, I probably should work harder than I do. I probably should be more consistent than I am. Like I learned those things in the Marine Corps. It's just not my natural state of being. It takes effort. And I'm always fascinated by people who it's not effort for them to like put their best foot forward. I'm always fascinated. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. You talked about how you've kind of allowed yourself to just make these decisions and make them work. Has there been, I'm sure there has been, but can you think of a time where it was just going really, really wrong in this 10-year journey? Did you want to give up? Did you want to fold in, or, what was that like for you?
Oh, yeah. We don't have enough time to go through all the painful moments, but I think, again, touching on what I mentioned earlier, it's like you just got to remember why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And I think, there's been a million moments from it's completely different making something by hand in your kitchen versus trying to make something at scale through equipment. It's so different, and there's so many different variables. Oh, shelf life you never think about, and all the different conditions and what equipment does to food product. It's a lot more forceful than your hands are, but it can go a lot longer and not get as tired, and maintenance cost. And now you're shipping something to a store, and it's, instead of going direct to the store, now you need to go to a warehouse. And instead of going in temperature controlled in your car that has AC, it's in a hot truck, and that messes with your quality. And there's all these things. And at the end of the day, you're like, crap. Like, it's not, it just causes problems, and you learn. But I mean, kind of one of my life phrases and mottos is just to keep going. I feel like if I don't quit, I'll get there. And again, going by, remember why I'm doing it and who I'm doing it for. And when I always focus on others and, it's not about me, it's about we and he, then I feel much more inspired to have that patient endurance just to keep plowing forward and keep going. And, analogy I always think of is really just dirt, in like versus like a giant, beautiful, like think of the most beautiful orchard you've ever seen. And it's like, everything starts with a seed. And sometimes we're just in those dirt moments where you're like, crap, like this just looks ugly and messy and gross. But don't underestimate the seed that's below the surface and the power and the potential that's in that seed. And so I think of farmers like, hey, you can't just not show up, and expect to get this beautiful crop, right? And so, I mean, for me, it's just having that consistent choice day by day to try to get a little bit better and improve here and there. And it's not linear. It feels like you're going backwards a lot of times, but, again, just to try and keep going and have the faith and the focus to take one step forward. And, ultimately, I think it's allowed us to have a journey and have some impact that we can feel proud of, and one that equally inspires us to keep going at the same time.
How many products did you start with? Because I counted, I believe you have like 20 flavors or distinctions between regular flavors, vegan, keto. What was that like, making those decisions to go from 1 to 20 bars in 10 years?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I started with about 5, all things I'd done in my kitchen. And then the different expansion from there has really just been about listening and looking and seeing what other people want and seeing where you're seeing things moving. And, you're working events. Oh, well, do you have this or do you have that? No, or you see things moving. And, I like creating, I think probably to a fault. We probably have too many products to trying to, serve too many people or whatever. But I do think it's something that I do welcome and something I enjoy personally. But yeah, I mean, it's really a process of just going, hey, what do you think you can do really well? And what's something that people want, and trying to find that match. Because if you can make something quality and consistent and serve people at a high level, then, you can make an impact on them or your business, or your life, or whatever. And so that's really kind of been the process of how we got there. And now I think we have a big opportunity because we've invested in building a building and equipment. So we've got much more overhead expenses, but now we've had people want us to make bars for them. And so we're really trying to utilize our, existing infrastructure as well as our experience and passion to help others and go, hey, no ego, like I'm open, if the opportunity is right and it's something we think we can do well. And, even if it's something we've never done, again, like a challenge. So if we think we can figure it out. So, and again, never part of the vision, but because we were just going down the road and we keep our eyes and ears and mind and heart open, there's different opportunities. So
I love your heart, Jeff. I really do. I love your heart and your spirit. There's something very calming about you. I'm much more of a frenetic energy person. I really appreciate the calm that you bring into the space. Here's another question, and this is just my own selfish desires here. But can we expect to see an all organic bar at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something I've thought about for a long time. I think, with some of the things we have to work behind the scene, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And yeah, we actually use quite a bit of organic ingredients. We just don't label them and haven't gone through all the certs and all of that. So we do have a good amount. So yes, I would like a goal. I would like to get there. So
All right. Well, I'm going to put that on my prayer point list.
Come on, bring it.
I'm here
You
for
receive
that.
it. You receive it.
Is that because it's so challenging to get all of from what I understand, not only is it challenging and time consuming, it's also really expensive just to get that little label. Is that one of the things that's kind of?
That's a huge one. Great question. I think again, when you get back to like vision and stuff, and then there's the reality of going, what can we afford and what makes sense now? And so I think, we've got a lot of big investments in equipment and whatnot. And I mean, you'd be blown away at all these certifications, their businesses also, and how much it costs to get a lot and do a lot of that stuff. And so again, our goal is to continue to put out better and healthier products. And so, yes, ultimately with either different resource partners or different opportunities, we would like to get to all organic because that's something that I believe in and, want to get to, but functionally it doesn't make sense financially for us right now, but we want to continue to move that direction. And just like I was saying before, hey, you can't go from hand making to build your own plant and fully automated. There's 50 other steps in between that, but you can keep going down that path. And some of us, our pace in the race is a little slower than others, and that's okay. As long as we still get there.
Is pretty great.
Appreciate it.
You still get there. I love that. Well, I do want to just publicly say I have tried your bars. They are delicious. And I really would encourage all of our listeners to go grab yourself a variety pack. You can go to kaisconcepts.com. We will link it up in the description on your device, in your show notes. I'll be sharing about it on Instagram. And if you're coming to Confidence Activated next month, winner chicken dinner, we're going to have Kai's bars in our goodie bags. I'm excited about that. So Jeff, final thoughts. What's one question or tidbit that maybe I haven't asked that you feel is really important for our listener, as far as your mission goes in changing lives that you think that they need to know?
Oh, great question. I mean, I would just encourage everybody, you've probably got some type of dream or big question, on your heart or swimming around in your head, driving yourself crazy. But I would just encourage people to continue to press in that. If you're people of faith, hey, be prayerful, ask the question and then open your eyes and ears and heart and see what's going on and take it one step at a time. I think my acronym or alliteration, if you will, is faith, focus, feed, and move forward. And to me, it's like you got to have a dream, you have to have a goal, you have to have the faith. The bigger the faith, the bigger the action, the bigger the belief, the bigger the behavior, and focus on it. Write it down, look at it, have awesome people like yourself and community to support, to encourage and do, build up that mentality in you. And then, lastly, it's like the feed, we get better with reps. What you feed grows and what you don't starves and dies. And so it's like, just keep going, keep getting reps. And, again, what you do doesn't define who you are. And I think there's a big difference between roles and identities. And it's just like knowing that you're loved regardless, but living from that place of like, I'm loved, like be charged up to use the different gifts and talents and dreams that have been put in you and go live that out, because everybody wins. Like it's a win for humanity. And I like to see more of that. So
I love that. I was going to let you off the hook, but you said something and now I have a saved round. A saved round is like a saved question. One more. You said, be prayerful and write the vision and keep people around you. So this is like a part one and part two of the same question is, when you are prayer, how do you hear from God? Question one. And then 1B is, when you're talking about people around you, have you personally invested in groups and coaching, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, great question. First question, you say, how do I hear? I think as I've gotten older, I think I've had a more maturing faith. I think a lot of the different pain points really, whether my own choices, the consequences of my own choices or not, I think it really helps me root in. But, from growing up, my biggest experience of experiencing God was always through people. I always say this, but I feel like through Jesus, that was how God spoke most to the world. And, he uses people, awesome people like yourself. So I think just the loving, faithful people that I've been fortunate in my family and friends and just different places and people I've been involved in were huge. I think as I've gotten older, I get up early now, get in the Word. I love that. I love writing and journaling and doing all that and just getting that quiet time. And I like being in nature. I think creatures in creation, you get closer to the Creator. It's kind of how I think about it. And there's a lot of noise and distraction with a lot of stuff. So it's just important for me to continue to get out and, disconnect and process and hang out and build that relationship. And then the second question, I think just, again, seeking wise counsel. And I have invested in different coaching or groups and stuff before. I have, formal, informal kind of mentors and coaches. And I think just having the humility that, hey, I don't know it all, but I want to be better. And I think for me, like anything in life, like just when you have humility and you have the hunger to improve and to go help and hone your craft, your skill or whatever it is, like you'll get better. And so I think just, continuing to have those great relationships in your life, that it's environment and influences, what you read, what you listen to, and who you're around has a huge effect. We have a lot of people, like I said, that work with us that have had serious drug addiction or been homeless from prison. And one of my takeaways from learning all their stories is, so many of them just never had good environments. They're in bad soil. It's hard to grow a beautiful crop in bad soil, and so I think that's people and coaching and community it's the forever go-to, it's the number one. So, I would just encourage people to sign up for all your stuff, to go. I was looking at the Faith Journal. Like, I love that. I'm going to buy one, give it to all the women that I know, use for myself. Because we got to get activated, and when we're activated, we're more alive, and that's what we're made for. And, that's my hope and want for everyone. I want people to know and be who they're made to be and do what they're made to do, and what that real eternal life is, and carry that on forever.
I love that. I love that you said you journaled. My ears perked up. Yes. Look at this. Are you married? Are you single? I'm married.
No, man, help me out. Help me out.
Ladies, listen, ladies, Jeff, he's cute. He's ripped, but most importantly, he's a man of God. Did you hear him say he starts with the Word every day? Like, woo-hoo. Send your applications into info@rachelluna.biz. We will screen all of y'all. Make sure that you send us a picture without a filter, because we're not going to be. Look, he just, I wish y'all could see. He just rubbed the top of his head and this big gun came up on the screen. Okay, Jeff, we see you. We see you. Jeff, I have really enjoyed spending time with you today. I know that you're so busy, so I don't want to keep asking more questions. We will have to bring you back again if you'd ever come back for a reprise, because you shared a lot of really great, poignant things, in my opinion, that I hope our listeners will not just hear the word today, but also come back and listen to it, and then take action and execute on some of the things that you suggested. Of course, y'all all know I'm going to say definitely get into the Word if the Word of God floats your boat. But if it doesn't, we love you still. And make sure that you all go over to kindsconcepts.com. I'm going to link it up for you in the description. In your device, they're going to give us a code. Your team said you'll give me a code, so we'll put that in the show notes over at rachelluna.biz. I will promote it on Instagram. Y'all go follow them on Instagram as well. Go buy a variety pack. Don't just buy one bar. Go buy all the packs. Try it out. Follow Jeff. And Jeff, thank you so much for being here. It's been such a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. We'll really enjoy it. And absolutely, I'll come back anytime, and let's help people do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you so much, Jeff. That was awesome. Y'all, how good was that? Before we ended, I got a code from Jeff. So if you want to save, you can use the code LUNA at checkout when you go to kindsconcepts.com. Try the bars. They're delish. We forgive him for the bars not being 100% all organic, but come on, y'all know y'all not eating 100% organic anyway. So go try the bars, get you a treat, use the code Luna, and we'll see you in the next episode.